Hey guys, what's up? NullRage here, and today we're taking a look at the new changes coming from Scarlet Witch in her, is it a 52 review? Yeah, in her 52 review. Before we get into this, I feel I should mention that this is very early testing, guys. This is a step beyond, what we normally see in Test Center. In fact, so much so that she's got her own little test avatar, not even like the same as the real avatar. So let's go ahead and switch over to that. And the first thing I'll notice is, where's the cape? Could this possibly be evidence of maybe a variant costume for Scarlet Witch coming soon? Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe. I don't know. It may just be a visual graphics bug. But we will encounter bugs like this throughout going through this thing. In fact, the damage tuning has not been done, her new uniques have not been done, so it's just mechanics that we're looking at right now. Let's have a look at her synergy. Where is it at? There we go. Her synergy, somewhere in here, here we go, does not seem to have changed. It's still 2% damage to dot powers at level 25 and 50. Now her powers have changed quite a bit. She's got this tree, Decimation, which is going to work mostly on chaos damage, this new thing called chaos damage, which instead of mental damage or energy damage or physical damage, it's all going to be chaos damage here, which makes me wonder how this is going to work with item builds that are centered around doing mental, energy, or physical. Which one is it going to count as, or is it going to count as all of them, or how will that play in with the Power Cosmic legendary item? I don't know. But anyway, let's have a look at Decimation. The thing about chaos damage is it's gonna be very sporadic, very chaotic is the perfect word. You can see from the damage range there, it starts with 31 is the base, the bottom end, and 6,147 is the top end. So you've got a big range of damage that you can hit with this ability, and any of her abilities that are tagged as chaos damage. Let me see if I can just show you some of the difference in numbers. See, there was a 300 up on that top dummy with 5,000s down here. So you've got just a very wide range of damage possibility with this skill. It can result in very big numbers, but it can also screw you over and result in very low numbers. Thankfully, she's got something that's going to help with that. We'll go over that when we hit her SIG. Combustion Hex is next up, doing mental damage, and Chaos, a 10% chance to instantly destroy minor enemies when cast. Ooh, so anybody that's not a boss. I wonder, is that... I don't think it can delete elites and yellows and champions, or whatever. I don't think it can delete those, just minor enemies. Either way, that's still really cool. Here it is, Combusting Hex. Looks like it's a damage over time effect. Opens up a portal, or a warp in reality. Tears space-time apart. Does a damage over time. That's very cool. Next we've got Chaotic Hex. Mental damage, twice per hit. It says it's mental damage. Why didn't I just read that? It's not actually chaos damage. I'm stupid. It's just mental damage. Alright, there we go, guys. Problem solved. It's mental damage. Alright. Fires between 1 and 5 bolts. So it looks like this skill is still the same as it always has been. Wow, did I get like... How many 1 bolts in a row was that at the beginning there? Alright, now I'm out of spirit. So again, very chaotic skill. The damage on it can range just an incredible amount. The range on the individual bolts is not very chaotic. In fact, it's very, the range is not quite as wide as Hex Bolt. However, with it firing between 1 and 5, makes it a very chaotic skill. Next we've got Chaos Magic, giving you some crit hit rating and brutal strike rating, and a 15% chance to cast a minor hex. Here's how that scales with points put in. Probably still going to be a passive that I want to max out for that crit and brute. And the minor hexes that it can cast are Wither, a attack and move speed slow, a Burning Agony for a mental damage dot, and Restoration to heal and restore your own spirit. To heal you and restore your own spirit. Each of those hexes can last for 5 seconds. It's also your CC breaker, so you definitely want 1 point in it at least, just for that. And I can't really guarantee being able to show off these. There, you can see the attack speed slow on him right there around his feet. Or sandbag, rather. Yeah, I can't guarantee those procs to show what they look like, but that'll be nice running, you know, in the background of all of your abilities, always having that chance to throw a dot, chance to heal yourself, and chance to slow. Pretty cool. Now we've got Bouncing Hex. This skill is interesting. It's sort of a new one, and it's going to ricochet a hex bolt from enemy to enemy, striking as many as 4 with 1 blast. It's going to deal mental damage with again that huge chaos damage range. I'm having trouble with the word to describe that. Anyway, but it can hit as low as 88 damage and as high as 17,300. So you probably see some huge crits, but you might see some times where you just don't get any damage from this skill. It can hit between 4 and 8 maximum targets, and each bounce has a 20% chance to create an additional bouncing hex. So it can duplicate itself. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So only 7 targets here. So it can hit up to 8 targets, it says. I'm wondering if that includes targets from the additional bounces that it creates. I mean, it does say 8 maximum targets, so I think 8 would be the maximum. Anyway, pay attention to how this, you know, will sometimes only hit these guys, and sometimes it'll go all the way around and hit this guy over here. Nope, that's the wrong skill. There we go. It's on 4. So again, very chaotic skill, and sometimes you'll get good luck, sometimes you get bad luck. And I think that's what this character is going to be all about. It's just that very luck-oriented gameplay, which is strange. I don't always enjoy that type of gameplay. Sometimes I get screwed over, man. But again, we'll talk about Unmake Reality, which will sort of negate the luck of it all in a bit. Hex Sphere, passive effect, gain a charge meter, you can see that down here, which stores charges of Hex Sphere. Charges are built over time and builds quickly when dealing chaos damage. Active effect, so it's going to do some mental damage and stun and cost 1 charge. Alright. So here we go. Hex Bolt, or Hex Sphere. Looks like it pierces as well. Stuns all enemies in its path, so it does mention piercing there. Fire as many as 3 orbs before needing to recharge. Now you'll notice that basic does not seem to generate much charge here, but her bouncing hex, I found, can generate charge rather quickly. And you can throw out all 3 of those bolts for some pretty nice damage. I think this will best be coupled with Unmake Reality. Army of Nothing, or Army from Nothing. Chaos doing some, again, wide range mental damage, applying a vulnerability which causes enemies to take 20% extra damage from chaos damage for the next 3 seconds. It's got a cooldown of 8 seconds. Now, this is interesting because it's sort of like a dot, effectively. However, it doesn't just damage everything over time. The way it works is it creates an area in which ghostly creatures can attack the enemies. So you throw it out, and you can see the animations here. You got, like, are those like spiders or or tigers and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, something like that. No, they're demons. They're like Nagari demons, I think. Yeah, that's what they are. Again, though, that it will increase the damage taken from other chaos abilities by 20%. So, very nice to throw that on and do some other chaos damage. Couple it again with Hex Sphere, which does some pretty massive damage. Alright, now next up we've got Negation. Now, this seems to work a little bit faster than it used to be. It was just, you know, her basic teleport power. It warps to a target location, creating waves of mental energy that damage enemies in the area as you travel. Now, it used to do damage both, like, in the area you teleport away from. Did it do damage in the area where you teleport into? No, it's just the area that you teleport away from. So, when you teleport away, it'll do an area of effect and then move you. Now, this seems to move a lot faster than I remember it. I may just be remembering wrong, but either way, I'm all for it. Alright, next up we've got Winds of Chaos, her other travel power. I don't find that characters that have a teleport really need basic travel powers, you know, flight and all that. There you go. Now, she doesn't have the aura around her that I always used back when. That has been removed, just her passive damage aura that goes on around her. So it doesn't look as awesome as it used to when you're flying around. I can't say that word. Nope. Alright, it's going to give you some maximum spirit, some defense, projectile deflection chance, and a revive mechanic as well. In addition, you and your allies gain constitution, restoring health over time, and have an active effect to slow and protect allies, giving them that protected skill or protected party buff that is started rolling out to various skills. This is going to be a shared cooldown on this protected mechanic between other characters as well. So, like, Hawkeye just got one, I think Invisible Woman had one before him, and you're going to cause your allies to take less damage for certain duration, but then they won't be able to be protected again for like 30 seconds. Or 25 seconds, I guess, if I read the skill. Alright, one cool thing about this, what do we call it? Obfuscation. Obfuscation? No, I give up. Alright, one cool thing about this skill is that it can be casted, you see the extra circle there, on an area. So you can cast it on yourself and protect yourself from a little bit of damage, or if you want to stay at range but want to help your melee allies out, you can throw it down and protect them from whatever big hit may be coming. Very cool. Next we've got, let me put that there and that there. Now we've got Unmake Reality. Now I've talked about this a little bit because of the chaos affixes have maximum possible effect. So all of your chaos affixes, anything that's tagged with that red chaos affix there, that includes the damage from Hex Bolt as well as the chance to fire extra bolts on Chaotic Hex and the extra bounces from Bouncing Hex, along with anything that's got that chaos tag on it, the 10% chance to instantly destroy minor enemies. Then I think that will bump up to 100%. That'll be cool. So that's going to cause Decimation Tree to really be a lot more effective. In addition, it will instantly destroy minor enemies, so anybody in the area that it hits initially, it'll stun powerful enemies and do a mental dot for 3 seconds. It's also going to buff Bewitching Hex and Chaos Hex, We'll get to those in a minute, these two right here. And it causes them to gain maximum disruption stacks for the duration. It also increases the chance of your next 10 proc effects triggering by 100 or to 100%, including effects from items. This is really cool. I've gone ahead and selected a number of items here, just things with very noticeable procs, just so you can see how this skill will affect them. We've got Omega Sentinel's Energy Blaster, which has a chance to summon a Sentinel as well as 2 other procs, dealing energy damage and causing you to gain damage rating. So there we go, there's some procs. We got AIM Space Core Zero Gravity Boots. Now, I can't actually equip any of her own uniques on her, so I'm going with these Any Hero uniques. This one's going to have an AIM Orbital Strike. And Girdle Frost Giant Strength. This one's going to summon out a Frost Giant. Looks like that other one is when you are attacked, so that one will not proc. This one, Eidolon Warwear, that's a hard word to say, gives you a chance to summon. You'll notice the trend here. These are all chance to summon because they are the most noticeable procs that I could find. Chance to summon some War Drones. And then Soul Sword, which has a chance to disrupt, dealing damage and nullifying the target if they're not a boss player. So Nullify works the same way as her chance on Combustion Hex to destroy minor enemies. It's the same affix. It just completely deletes that enemy. It's pretty powerful. As well as 4% chance to become invulnerable. Again, a very noticeable proc. You'll see a big shield go up on her. And all of those effects increases the chance of the next 10 proc effects triggering to 100%. All of them should proc when you use this skill, which makes this a very potent ability. It also gives you 3 charges of Hex Sphere here. So you can bottom out your bar before you use it, and then throw 3 more Hex Spheres. And the buff duration will last 10 seconds, or 12 seconds. Cooldown's a minute. Now, one thing to note is that it will only affect up to 10 proc effects. So, you probably don't want to do what I'm doing and just like throw on every proc you can find. You probably want to prioritize which procs you put on, because she's got a number of procs from her own skills, and you can only have 10 of them at a time. You probably want to prioritize which ones you want to have going off when you do this, and that will be something you'll get into when deciding on your build and all that. So let's have a look at Unmake Reality. Now you can notice all of these, the War Drone, the Sentinel, the Frost Giant, all of them all came out at once. And I also got that invulnerability shield and everything. It's pretty cool. So I really like the Unmake Reality. Again, this, I just chose pets because they are the most noticeable, but I'm sure there's better procs that you can get for a build that's centering around getting as many procs from this Unmake Reality as you can. Alright, next we've got Chaos Warp. This skill is going to function mostly the same, however, you're going to be able to move. It was one of her best abilities, in my opinion, before this rework, and I think it remains such. There you can see. But now you can move fluidly while running around doing this huge damage dot. Actually, I don't think the damage is quite as big as it used to be. It used to be pretty nice damage. It was her most damaging attack, in fact. Now it's mental damage twice per second. It's still pretty decent, but may not be the end-all be-all. However, it does give you that chance to regenerate, as well as 50% damage negated. And applies a slow to all targets hit. So you could build around this skill pretty easily, and with that 50% damage negated, you would be very survivable. You would have a chance to heal whenever you got hit, and still do damage while you were out there doing this thing. All you got to worry about is getting your spirit so that you can cast this indefinitely, and just run around doing this all day. I don't know, be an interesting build for a very relaxing gameplay, no pressure whatsoever in that Chaos Warp, I'd say. I might play around with that a bit on once it goes live. Alright, let's move on to the disruption tree here. Alright, we'll leave that for last. We've got Reality Implosion to start off with. It's going to deal some mental damage. You'll notice none of the chaos affixes are on these skills. So Decimation has chaos, Disruption has disruption. Alright, Reality Implosion, mental damage, applies vulnerability. Also pulls enemies in. It's an implosion. It's going to pull everybody into the center there. Then we've got Ravenous Binding. Mental damage, twice per second, immobilize, slow, and a regenerate as well. This is going to, of course, give her, it can proc Chaos Magic, which gives her extra regeneration. Between these two skills, Ravenous Binding and Chaos Magic, you've got quite a bit of regen on this character. You'll notice she fires out an orb that, once it gets to its maximum range or hits a target, it will explode and immobilize and dot everything in an area. Very cool. This used to be sort of two abilities, but they've sort of been meshed. It used to be like Vampiric Binding and Ravenous Binding or something. Anyway, they got meshed into one, and now I really like that. You don't have to cast both of them out, but you'll still have plenty of dots to cast between these four abilities right here, which we'll go over once we've get to Dark Hex. Now, next we've got Bewitching Hex, mental damage, and restore spirit for each disruption power that you've used will cause you to gain more spirit when you use this ability. There it is normally. Now if we throw out 1, 2, and then my question is, this is a disruption power itself. Does it count? I feel like it should. We just waste our spirit here. Then we can get it back pretty easily by throwing out 1, 2, and then hitting with this. You see that spirit come back very, very quickly. Alright, next we've got Iron Maiden. Now, any Diablo 2 fans are going to recognize this from way back. You remember it was halfway on the way to Diablo. I forget the exact area, what it's called. But anyway, this was always the part that, it was the worst, man, because you hit that wall of cows, or I think they were minotaurs or something, and they throw this on, and you start damaging yourself whenever you attack them. It was horrible. It was the worst, man. I had so many characters that died right there. But this is going to be a throwback to that skill. You're going to wrap your enemies in Chaos Magic, weakening them, and doling out damage every time they attack. Let's go over here and... Here, let's put this here. I don't want this guy damaging me too much, and I don't really have much gear to survive a hit. What button's it on? 4? Alright. So if I throw Iron Maiden on this guy, then he's gonna take damage whenever he hits me. Ow! Ow. I don't have any HP to actually take a hit. So maybe this was... I can't really show this off too well, because I can't actually take a hit on this character. But you get the idea. Every time they damage me, they're going to take damage themselves. It's going to be very nice against really fast attacking enemies, but probably not that useful against big slow attackers like maybe Juggernaut or something like that. Now we've got, however, you're still going to want to use it for that weaken effect if you're using Dark Hex. We'll go over that in a minute. Chaos Blast. Strike a single target with Hex that becomes more effective with every disruption power used on the target beforehand. Each disruption power you've used will stack 30% or up to 30% damage, 10% damage per stack for this ability. Here's Chaos Blast. Now you'll notice the animations and sound. Oh, maybe they're just delayed. There it goes. Yeah, they're just a little bit delayed. They weren't working when I tested it out earlier. Right, let's use this instead. Now, you're going to do more damage if you used Chaos Warp, or not Chaos Warp. That was the wrong skill. There we go. Reality Implosion, Ravenous Binding, Bewitching Hex, any of your other disruption powers are going to cause this to do more damage. Throw out both of those, then hit with... There we go. See what I mean about that attack delay, though? It's just a little bit... I don't know, like it takes a second to load the assets for the animation or something. Anyway, that'll be worked out by the time it goes live, I'm sure. Next, we've got Dark Hex. Now this is going to cause all of these three abilities to play together and work with Dark Hex. You're going to do some mental damage to enemies affected by Ravenous Binding. You're going to do a mental dot to enemies that are weakened, and you're going to terrify vulnerable enemies. You'll notice going back through the skills, we've got Iron Maiden applies Weaken, Ravenous Binding applies Ravenous Binding, of course, which is that first effect, and Reality Implosion applies some vulnerability. So if you've used these three abilities on a target, you're going to do extra damage, or rather, you'll do things with Dark Hex, because if you haven't done anything, it doesn't do anything. So Ravenous Hex is pretty much a dead skill unless you've used one of these abilities on a target beforehand. However, if you've used all three, let's see, where's it at? Okay. 1, 2, 4, 8. You'll notice a huge damage spike and then a dot afterwards, as well as terrifying all the enemies if they were reality imploded. So when you use that combination in the proper order, it can be very nice. And starting off with Reality Implosion just pulls them all in. So it's a very potent combination here with these four skills. I like it. Finally, we've got Bewildering Hex, one of her abilities, which has been in the game for a long time, and it doesn't look to have changed much at all. Just the way, sort of, the mechanics behind the skill have changed, but the function will not. The confused enemies will deal extra damage to people, to each other, and it should be actually significant. It looks like a huge number, but keep in mind that enemies just normally deal way low damage in comparison to players, so you kind of have to multiply their damage by this amount to make them deal the same amount of damage as, say, hitting with a normal power. So it's going to multiply their damage by a lot and apply a the duration goes up with points put into the skill as well. There you go, Bewildering Hex. Let's see if we can go confuse these enemies so they stop. Maybe they won't shoot me or something. Oh no. Do you get confused? Yeah, he gets confused. So he won't shoot me. He'll only shoot people that are against me. Unless I let my Bewildering Hex fade. But there's no one else around here for him to shoot, so obviously he's going to just stand there going, huh? What? As a bewildered person would, right? Alright, next we've got No More, her ultimate. This is going to call back to a very, very well-known, I guess, event in the Marvel Universe. To any fans, any readers, you're all going to remember the day Wanda destroyed all the mutants. All of them. They were all just destroyed. Gone. I don't know about destroyed. I don't remember what happened to them. I didn't read too much of that. But anyway, mental damage twice per second. It's going to deal an energy explosion damage. Looks like that's just the initial hit. Render yourself invincible while you conjure a violent storm of chaos magic that engulfs and damages all nearby enemies, concluding in one massive shockwave. So you're going to deal a dot first, then you're going to explode with huge amounts of damage, and you're invulnerable during the entire duration of this power. Looks like the sound and everything is not completely done for this skill yet either. That animation looked beautiful though. That's going to be a very cool power once it's done. Again though, it's not finished, so it may even have more damage or something added to it. I'm not 100% sure. It may have a buff or something afterwards. A lot of ultimates in today's game are getting buffs added after you use them. We'll have to see. Again, this is all very, very, very early alpha, not even beta testing for this character's abilities. So it's all going to change over the next week or so. Let me know what you guys think of this initial look at Scarlet Witch's mechanics in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be. I think we may have covered everything that's happening in this test center or this next patch. But if there is another video, I'll see you there. Until then, take it easy. Have a good one. Peace.